Are you ready to make 2017 the year you transform your life?
You can wait for something to happen, or you're actually going to decide to go home after this weekend to do something about that. We all know that we have a very, very limited amount of time on this earth. So let's not have repeated years. Live your own life. Make the choice, make the decision for your own life. Fear is where you develop courage. There's a moment going, holy crap, all right, I'm going to do this now.
The Wellness Breakthrough is coming.
And so you actually have that choice every single morning, every single day, every single moment to decide whether you're going to live it to the fullest or not.
Join myself, Marcus Pearce, and the Wellness Guys, Damien Christoph, Lawrence Tam, and Brett Hill for 2 nights and 3 days of transformation at the Country Place. 10 acres of breathtaking rainforest in the Dandenong Ranges of Victoria, February 17 to 19.
It's each and every single one of you are going to support each other in your journey, whatever that journey is.
Couples discounts available, limited spots remaining. For all information and to watch the spine-chilling video, go to thewellnessbreakthrough.com.
TheWellnessCouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. This is Up for a Chat with Cindy O'Mara, Karen Smith, and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Karen Smith.
I'm Kim Morrison.
And I'm Cindy O'Meara.
And I'm super excited because this week we're continuing where we left off from last week on the 13 things that mentally strong people don't do. The fabulous article that Cindy's introduced us to has opened up the most amazeballs conversations. Jeepers creepers, how cool.
It has been.
And I'd also say to people, if they haven't listened to last week's, go back and listen to that one first before you listen to this one.
And you know what I found really interesting is as soon as we finished up last week's, we just continued the conversation. It didn't stop. We just continued through that conversation. So let's continue with number 6 then. And but maybe a review just quickly. So the review was we did 1 to 5 last week, and that was number 1 was that mentally strong people don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves, don't give away their power, don't shy away from change, don't waste energy on things they can't control. Now that was a beauty, Karen, I've got to admit. Loved where you went with that one. I had you at you know where. And they don't worry about pleasing everyone. And that was really interesting too, and doing an action step on that. I asked you, can you give me an action step on how do we do that after you explained it? So I really appreciated that, and I got real clarity around that one. And so our next one is they don't fear taking calculated risks. So not crazy risks, but calculated risks. They don't take reckless or foolish risks, but they don't mind taking calculated risks. Mentally strong people spend time weighing the risks and benefits before making a big decision, and they're fully informed of the potential downsides before they take action. And I find if we don't take a risk and if we don't do something, then we're going to continue to do what we're doing and stay within a framework of our lives and never exit out of it. And I remember a very good friend of Kim's and mine, Ogilvy, OT, said to me one day, I wanted to swim between Mooloolaba and Alexander Headland. And I love that swim. It's there's usually about 60 of us that do it. It's around 2.5K, 3K return. And I remember getting in the water at Mooloolaba, and I was able to get in the water at Mooloolaba. And I was happy until I got to about, I think, 400 metres towards Alex, and I looked at Ogilvy and I said, I can't do this, Ogilvy. I'm really scared. The waves are getting bigger. if there were big at Mooloolaba and I could barely get out, I'm never going to get in at Alexander Headland. It's too big. I want to swim back. And I loved what Ogilvy said to me. He said, I've got your back, Cindy. I'm not leaving you. I will stay with you and I will guide you in. And the whole swim, and I kept going, and my whole swim I kept thinking, oh, how am I going to do this? I'm just not sure I can do this. I'm not, and I could have turned back and could have gone home, gone back to Mooloolaba and swam out. So anyway, Ogilvy, true to his word, he looked after me. He's a surf lifesaver. He's an emergency care doctor. I knew I was in good hands.
That's a calculated risk. I would have done that with him too.
I took a calculated risk, it was a calculated risk. And I did it, even though I had fear, and I did have fear. And I did it, and I got out of the water, and he hugged me, and he said to me, I'd rather see somebody do something that gives them that fear than not to tackle it at all. Well done, Cindy. And I thought it really was brought home to me that I will tackle things that I fear, but I also am very calculated, because if he wasn't with me, I probably would have turned around and gone back. If somebody had, I don't know if I could have done that by myself. So I just thought I'd give an example of, feel the fear and do it anyway, but make sure that you don't put your life at risk or put everything that you have on the line at risk. I think it's important that you understand the potential downside, which I could have drowned, but then I had the emergency doctor to revive me.
Yeah, but I think also too, just those words, I just want to bring that up. Those words, I've got your back, those words mean so much to people. I've said that to Jacob going into principal meetings. I've said that to my daughter when she's going for her license. Those words, I've got your back, or even your team members, the girls that work with me and the guys that work with me, I want them to always know I've got their back. And that means through good times and not such good times. And I think him saying that, and then with the knowledge and knowing and trusting and believing in him that he would be the perfect person. Although I will say this to you, Cindy, having seen you in a flap, having seen you go off and absolutely lose your shizzle, I'm wondering whether you would have caused you both to drown had you panicked. I'm just putting it out there. I think he took a more calculated risk than you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But you know what? If I'd gone into a flap in that situation, that's dangerous. I only go into a flap when it's a mental flap.
I don't know. I've seen you flap over your kids. Yeah, no. I wouldn't call that mental.
But that's mental flap. That is not I'm in that situation. I'm actually being told a situation, and I'm in a mental fear. I'm in mental fear. That's what it is.
I beg to challenge you on that one. As you watched your children throwing up with alcohol, I'm just going to challenge you on that, because you were right there then too, and you did flap both times, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I think even expletives came out.
She's all over you, Steve. She's all over you. She's all over me. Break right, Viper. Break right.
Okay. When it comes to my kids, I'm a flapper.
I just needed to hear it. I just needed you to own it, because that's really powerful. I'm really with you, because you know what? I'm exactly the same. I'm hearing you.
It's scary. It's scary when it's children. But I think if I had done that, I would have put my own life at risk as well as OT's. Although OT probably would have knocked me out. If I know him.
Yeah, he probably would.
Do you know? I think I want to bring back to, and this probably links back into all the other 5 that we've spoken about last week, but, we've taken calculated risks financially, and we thought we did all our research and all our homework, and it still failed miserably. And I then go into, whilst we had a couple of days of feeling incredibly sorry for ourselves and incredibly upset, and why us, and it's not fair, and the blame game and below the line, and we did go there, I will be honest. I think a few bottles of wine might have even been consumed at the same time. But then I look back at it when I think about it with your perspective, Karen, and all the things that we've talked previously to this. that there was also a reason for that happening as well, looking back, and there was a chance for us to delve and a chance for us to reprogram and a chance for us to really examine our reaction and response to that. And I really love, and I've always tried to hold on to this. I don't say I do it very well all the time, but it's about how do I act rather than react. And sometimes in those situations, it's very hard to take the emotions out of it. As you say, when emotions are high, intelligence is low. It's very difficult sometimes to be pragmatic and esoteric and spiritual and aware. But even that is a lesson, isn't it, Karen? And the way you talk about then looking at that as an example for challenge and learning. What would you say to people that in the moment, like perhaps it's a calculated risk who they're going to spend New Year's with, or
or Christmas
Day, or like any of those sorts of things? I mean, really, ultimately, what you're saying, the answer to all of these, what strong people do, is it's almost like you take every one of them, Karen, you've taken us to a 50,000 viewpoint, not in a human point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, I think it's really more of it's more about the language, actually. As soon as we put the word risk in there, calculated risk, people start, there's a perception of what risk is. I actually don't think that there is such a thing as a calculated risk. I really just think that there's an opening to jump into or not. And either way, there's going to be more and more experiences come, whether a person jumps into the opening or they don't jump into the opening. And at the end of the day, if a person is taking, like a calculated risk in inverted commas, if a person is doing that, they're just jumping in and they're going for whatever is on the other side of it. And if a person doesn't, then they're staying in a safe position. They're staying in a safer place. And I think that there's a necessity for both experiences. So there are some times where a person does need to be in a place of safety just because they're resting, or there's a time and a place in a person's life when jumping into those openings or opportunities or whatever's there, jumping into it feels like the most natural thing to do. But either way, it puts a person into a place of, not either way, really. I think if a person does jump into that opportunity and that opening, there's an unpredictability about it. And that's where we were talking about last week about challenge and opportunity, where a person is opened up to new, expansive ways of being and learning new tools and discovering new stuff about themselves, new stuff about the world and all that sort of stuff. So if a person takes that opportunity, awesome. If a person doesn't take that opportunity, will it present itself again? Absolutely. No doubt about it. So it's not about actually the risk, it's about the expansion. So it's going to come wrapped in a different package and it's going to come again, and the invitation to expand will present itself again. It doesn't matter when. It could be a week later, a month later, a year later, 10 years later. But the opportunity to expand will be presented again in a different package. So I just look at those things. It's not a calculated risk. It's an opportunity to expand. And if you take it, you take it, and there will be consequences and experiences that come from it. And if you don't, there'll be consequences and experiences that come from it. Either way, we're going to survive, and either way, we're going to land up in a box.
I love it.
So, yeah, it's just experiences. It's our perception of what that experience is. And as soon as we say the word risk, man, it puts the cat amongst the pigeons for all of us. So let's take the language of the word risk. Let's just get rid of that, and then we're able to see clearly. Is that something that I want to do for myself right now? Like, I'm staring down the barrel of a partnership right now, and I'm looking at it going, is that something that I want to do for myself right now or not? And if I fall out of the sky and I put the partnership in front of me, the answer is absolutely yes. But if I reference the past and look at all the things that have happened in the past, then all of a sudden it becomes a massive risk for me. Now, if I can take that word away and I can just look at what's in front of me, and I know either way it's going to create experiences for me. If I don't take it on, there's going to be a whole world of experiences. If I do take it on, there's going to be a whole world of experiences. Which experiences are going to force me to expand at an accelerated rate? Taking the opportunity. And I'm all for that. I want an accelerated journey here, so I'm all for it. But if I'm referencing the past, then all of a sudden it becomes a risk. And then I become worried about the future, and then it's something that I'm too scared to take action on. And, I don't think that's living. That's just my view. There we go.
I agree.
I've just been looking up the etymology of risk. I thought it might be really interesting. So I'm on, the usual pace, Wikipedia, and from earlier risk, from Middle French, from Italian, to run into danger. Most dictionaries consider the etymology of this term uncertain, but some suggest that perhaps it comes from cut, rock, or crag, rissicum or something. Cut off, loose, curtail, it could mean, in the sense of that which is of danger. The ancient Greeks, I don't know what they called it, they think the root word was radical. Yeah, interesting. It's to run into danger is probably, isn't that amazing?
But then again, Cindy, that brings us back to the perception, because what was danger back then and what's danger now are two different things, isn't it?
Exactly. Because I never think of risk as any of those words. I think of it a little bit like what you were saying. I know change the terminology, and maybe it's etymology that creates it to be a word that people think is a danger. When in actual fact, it could be an opportunity. So, yeah, just a little, little English root. What did I used to do? I used to do the study of words, and they always went to etymology, and it was always intrigued me, the etymology of some words and how some people see the word risk versus how other people see the word risks or other words. Yeah.
And again, then that comes back to perception, and it comes back to our conditioning as to what risk has meant in our families, like with our parents, what risk has meant in society. If everybody has a different perception of risk, then everybody's perception of risk is not a truth, because it's all been made up based on our backgrounds and our upbringings and what's been handed down from generation to generation. So in actual fact, what you've done there, Cindy, is you've gone back to the very root meaning of what risk was, and it probably doesn't apply to should I take on a partnership. It doesn't really apply, does it?
No.
Because then you're talking about danger. So then what is danger?
Do you want me to look the root word up on that one too?
Okay, well, why not? I mean, we're there.
You take it, like I keep thinking about the word risk. I think about New Zealand, who's just had an earthquake, and do they take a risk in living in New Zealand? Is that why you left, Kim?
Hey, listen here, you lot. There's nothing wrong with the shaky isles, I'm telling you. But there's a risk in being alive is a risk. Honestly, everything we do, everything we talk about, if you want to talk about in the context of the word risk from a human point of view, then walking out into the road can be a risk. Going to the beach is a risk. I mean, you only have to hear of some of the enormous tragedies that occur in just everyday occurrences to see that everything can be seen or perceived as a risk. Or I love the way Karen looks at it from a much higher perspective, which is it is what it is, and trusting that we have, like it was, I can't remember which number it is, but we actually have no control anyway. So why we hold on to the control of it is actually quite ludicrous or delusional, as you say, Kaz.
Oh, man, it's a waste of energy when you think about how much energy we've actually got and how much energy we're spending on stuff that is just so irrelevant, not true, not possible. You say from a human point of view, I mean, there's nothing more human than what we're talking about. It's not this, all of this is not even spiritual. It's not that. It's actually the very basis of being human. It's the basis of actual truth. It doesn't require an esoteric belief or an esoteric standpoint. It's just saying, well, actually, hang on a second. Let me put everything that I think up for question. I still might have the same conclusion, but let me just question it anyway. Let me just question what risk is. Let me question what danger really is. Let me, everything that causes us a bit of grief, let me just question it. And then all of a sudden, life becomes a very simple and a very straightforward way of existing when we can kind of dump everything that we've perceived to be true. And, like we said last week, come back to the nothing. And then in the nothing, go out and explore. Go out and explore, and don't think that you don't need to trust anything, because everything just is occurring as it naturally should be occurring. So trust isn't even something that's necessary. Just be with whatever is present. Be with the self. Be with me existing in this planet. Be with me in the way that I am. Be with me in the way that I look. Be with that. Be in a state of absolute awe and acceptance, and just fall out of the sky moment by moment by moment by moment. And then life doesn't require any of these great explanations. It just requires like a co-creative, harmonistic, beautiful existence that's very, very simple. Sorry, I do go on.
No, but it's very interesting. Good. So while you were doing that, I actually looked up synonyms for risk, which are hazard, eminence, menace, peril, pitfall, danger, threat, trouble. So let's go to danger. You're going to love the etymology of danger. Power, mastery, authority, and control.
Wow.
And alteration. Yeah, this is so mid-13th century, power of a lord or master, jurisdiction from Anglo-French danger, D-A-U-N-G-E-R, Old French D-A-N-G-I-E-R, meaning power, mastery, authority, control. Interesting. Power of the Lord.
Would you shut the front door?
Therefore, we have come to full circle that risk is power. Risk is mastery. Interesting.
Oh, Cindy, I tell you, that has just made my day. That is the shiz bang right there.
It is, isn't it? Because it's exactly what you were saying. And you just went back to 13th century master, lord or master, power. Yeah, amazing. And every language said it. So whether it was Latin, Anglo-French, what other languages were in there? Modern French. It's all about change, control, authority, power, and mastery.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Bring it on. What's our next one?
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh, I've got to go back to that now. 13? Right. Oh, we're not even up to 13. Oh, my gosh, we're only up to 7. They don't dwell on the past. Mentally strong people don't waste time dwelling on the past and wishing things could be different. They acknowledge their past and can say what they've learned from it. However, they don't constantly relive bad experiences or fantasize about the glory days. Instead, they live for the present and plan for the future. Well, Karen, I think you actually said that, we dropped out of the sky, didn't we? And we have no idea what's happening, and we just look at something in front of us and we don't even know what it is. That's no thing. So, in my way of thinking, I see a lot of people keep going on about their past. I forget. And my husband will say to me, "Don't you remember what that person did?" And I went, "No." I don't worry about the past. I'm not. That's definitely what I don't do. Is I don't dwell on the past. Every now and then I go back there to remember. I think about my mum and my sister, but that's to remember them in a beautiful way, not to dwell on the fact that I watched them leave this planet. But I try not to. I try not to dwell on the past. And if I ever do, I want you two to just slap me. Slap me.
Oh, do I have permission? Do I have strong permission? I'm just checking.
I'm hilarious.
Permission. I think we can learn from our past, like they say. It's so important, which is number 8, is don't make the same mistakes over and over. So learn from that. But it's just the dwelling, and a lot of people do dwell in the glory days or the bad days, or it was because of this is the way I am right now. So I see everything very practically. I can hardly wait to hear you two go down the rabbit hole on this one.
You first, Kimmy.
Well, look, you're asking the wrong person, because sometimes I have made the same mistake over and over. And, especially being a mum, I'm sure my kids would pick you up on every single thing I do over and over and over again wrong. But I think more importantly, I think the challenge for me is if the mistakes or the thing does keep occurring, what the hell am I doing, or what haven't I woken up to, in order for it to change? And I think you've taught me this, really, you two, is that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, will keep providing you the opportunity to learn unless you choose not to, and then it's going to happen again, and then it's going to happen again. And it's almost like that horrible thing when people look for the evidence to prove that their world sucks, or their life keeps sucking, or they're not good with money, so therefore things occur where they're not good with money, or relationships are always bad, and therefore what happens, their next relationship is bad. And I think, again, it comes back to all the others, is trying to have a little turnaround viewpoint, or, why has this happened, and why did that happen, and how come I did this, and why did I behave in that way? And I have to be honest with you, since, doing these podcasts for the last 3 years with you girls has really given me some real strong insights into my own behavior, into why I do things and why now I don't do things. So for me, I would like to think that I don't make the same mistakes twice. Sometimes it comes packaged differently and I get an aha that it's actually the same thing and I've done it again. But sometimes that's just a bad default or habit that I've got into that I think is normal. But again, when you take yourself out of what is normal into realizing that nothing is actually normal, then you can give yourself another perspective and another opportunity to learn from that again. Otherwise, it's back to what you said, Karen. What's the point of it happening? There is absolutely no comprehension of understanding unless we actually look for the reason why these things occur or how we can improve on ourselves. So I have to be honest with you, I'm not perfect at this one, but I also realize even that and its imperfection is perfect. So I don't know. I think making mistakes is sometimes just an opportunity for growth, written as a mistake or worded as a mistake. Look that word up, Cindy. And really it's just another opportunity for learning. Maybe.
I'm looking it up now. You can keep talking while I'm looking it up.
I was waiting for Kaz to come in with her deep, unbelievable, incredible ability to just dissect it and just give it to us in another whole framework.
Oh, dear. Well, it says here, and guys, I do apologise. There is a little bit of background noise where I am, and I'm hoping it's not coming across too loud. I've got here on my article here, it says, the reality is that we're prone to repeat the same mistakes sometimes. Learning from our mistakes requires humility and a willingness to learn new strategies to become better. Mentally strong people don't hide their mistakes or make excuses for them. Instead, they use them as an opportunity for self-growth. And I think that's even that I'm in two minds about it, and I'm so keen to hear what Cindy says about the etymology of mistake, because I actually don't think that anything's a mistake. I think only something becomes a mistake when we make it that way. I much prefer to look at everything and say, well, actually, it was all experiences. And am I richer and stronger? And did I enjoy the texture and the flavor because I had another experience that potentially caused me to be in conflict with myself or conflict with somebody else? Well, damn hell, yes, I am. I'm glad about that because I'm bigger and stronger for it, or I've expanded because of it, or it's taught me something I didn't know before. And I think what you just said there, Kimmy, is just bang on. Everything is an opportunity for expansion. And like I said last week, there's one job. When you're a human being, there is one job, and that's to expand. And it just depends. If you want an accelerated life, if you want an accelerated experience here, then, man, jump in both feet for every opportunity to do what the rest of society would call a mistake. Both feet, go nuts. Because at the end of the day, you're either going to have an expanded experience where you're learning and life is full of different colors and textures, or you're going to have an experience of life where it's bland, there's no growth, no nothing for you. But really, I mean, what's the point of being here then? The point of being here is to really be milking life for all that it has to offer on a moment-by-moment basis. So no matter what's happening, whether it's $9 in your bank account, we can be on bended knee about that, or we can be going, wow, there's something big for me here. What can I get out of this? Like, how can this teach me something? And as soon as you start asking those questions, the answers become clear. But it's almost as if we don't ask the questions. We just do the bashing up of ourselves, where in actual fact, if we can be in a state of curiosity, like we've said, if we can be in a state of curiosity, then you'll start to find the answers, because it's amazing how the brain works. Neurologically, you pose the brain with the question, it will ferociously find the answer, and it might take a week or it might take a month, but it will ferociously go in pursuit of the answer, and it will find it for you, because the brain is this beautiful, complex piece of machinery that was designed to work for us. Then we're kind of going into another conversation there, but the brain is designed to work for us. So when we instruct it with a question, it gets so excited because now it's actually got directed thought. It's got a direction to go in. I think let's not ascribe to the language of mistakes. Cindy, what have you got for us?
Oh, really interesting. So from the 1630s, used as a noun, it was unintended pregnancy mistake.
Shut up. No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
30s, from the 14th century, it was to commit an offence.
Commit an offence, like a crime?
Yeah, like a crime. To commit an offence, or to do in error, to do wrong, which is what it is today. But the 1630s mistake, I think this is what it says as a noun, is unintended pregnancy, or is that a verb? Don't know. Unintended pregnancy was the word. And it's not telling me whether it was Latin or where that came from, because I've got Norse, I've got Swedish, I've got everything, but that was the one that just was the doozy on me.
I think what's interesting in that though is it was saying that it's a crime, or that it's almost sounds, and that sounds intentional, or that, we know when we're doing something that perhaps we shouldn't be, and yet a mistake is often something that we didn't even realise is a mistake until it's been done. And so I think, I don't know, I like that word unintentional, but pregnancy doesn't quite fit with some of the mistakes I've made. But are they mistakes?
Cindy, who says this? Who said you've made a mistake? Because if you say you've made a mistake, then that's based on your perception, because you can say it's a mistake, but I would say it's not. So then that means my perception isn't right, and neither is yours, because both of them, we've made them up. They're just our perceptions. So is there an ultimate truth on that? And the ultimate truth on that would be, did you have an experience? Yes, I did. Did you expand as a result? Yes, I did, or no, I didn't. But the truth is it was just an experience. So we're going to attach a meaning to that. Then that meaning is something that we're making up, because I would have a different meaning to what you would, which then means it was never true. It was never, it was never a mistake. Does that make sense? Did I just talk around in circles then?
No. And I'm going to go down the rabbit hole even more. So a mistake meaning unintended pregnancy from 1630s. What human being is a mistake? And and unintended doesn't mean you shouldn't have got pregnant. It was just unintended. We didn't plan it. This is how I get it. You didn't plan it, but this is what's happened. But look at the reality of what's happened. So now we can turn the whole thing around and see it as, you don't go out to do it, but it becomes unintended. But what it does is it creates new life. Ha. Do you like that? Do you like how I put that?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's gold.
Right. Well, I think we've solved that one. I really do. Sure, the book doesn't say this.
I think we need to rewrite this book.
I think we could rewrite this book. So that was don't dwell on the past. And we also, I think, answered 8, which was that they don't make the same mistake over and over.
Yeah.
But we decided that mistakes aren't mistakes, and that they are creators of new life. Unintentionally, we do it. And
that's just beautiful. Oh.
It is. It's music.
You can use it.
Oh, that's music, Cindy. We are going to use that. Yes.
Yeah. When you think about it that way, you kind of go, it's not a mistake. It's so actually, I think we need to rewrite number 8. I really do. It's like everything that we do is something that will create
New life.
Create new life, create something new in our lives even. You know, we can manipulate it and massage it and have that. So everybody, you've never made a mistake in your life. You've just created new life. That's it.
And there's the expansion, isn't it?
Yes,
I love it.
It is.
I actually love it because it also takes away the sense of
this
being
is
wrong.
Gold.
It takes any perception of anything being wrong, doesn't it?
It does. It's completely away. Okay, we can move on to 9 now. And I think this is a really interesting one. And number 9 is they don't resent other people's success. Mentally strong people can appreciate and celebrate other people's success in life. They don't grow jealous or feel cheated when others surpass them. Instead, they recognize that success comes with hard work or smart work, I'm going to throw in there. And they are willing to work hard for their own chance at success. Yes, what is it? The harder I work, the more lucky I get. Is that the word?
Or 10 years hard work and you're an overnight success, yeah.
Exactly. I love celebrating other people's success. I love seeing people successful and succeeding in what they do. I find it inspirational. I know when I went to the 100 Women of Influence and, saw the successes and the amazing things, and we're going to speak to one of these people that I had met, just a young 20-year-old, when we finally get her, because she's so busy. How does a 20-year-old be busy like she is, So she's all about, social enterprise. And I was in awe. I wasn't thinking that way when I was 20. And I was in awe, and I want to spread her to the world and get other people realizing that you don't have to wait till you're 40 to be in social enterprise or to create a charity or whatever it is that you're doing. You can actually do it at 16 even. So I love to tell about other people's success. I think that's really important, that you spread the word. Because how else are people going to find out about it? Like I look at Dr. Kelly Brogan, who we talked about in the first part of this. And I've watched Kelly go from someone who's being interviewed by like Sean Croxton and, not well known on the field of health to probably becoming one of the most well-known psychiatrists, well-known speakers, well-known thinkers. And I love watching her go from I had never heard of her to someone I hear about every single day these days. Everybody's talking about her. So I want to spread what she's saying. Like I said, I'm the one that thinks of this practically. You two are the two that go down the rabbit hole. So when you go down the rabbit hole, I'll look at the etymology of success. That's what I'll do.
Well, I think, Cindy, that's one of the reasons why you probably are somebody who fits into this category, or somebody that is mentally strong, because you don't do that. In my whole experience of you, I've never seen you compete. I've only ever seen you admire, hold up, support, encourage. I've never seen you do anything other than that.
Thank you,
so Karen. It's no surprise. Yeah, well, it's no surprise. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So do we want to say anything there? How must we work to do this?
Well, give us a go-to on what to do when someone, yes. I think it's natural human nature to, when you're working really hard or you're doing the things, I'm sure, there's times when, house envy sits in, or, oh my gosh, look how successful they are, or look what they've done. And I'm sure there's a part of us, I know myself that there's times where, and it's not that I'm sitting there feeling nasty or upset or wishing it was me. It's not that, but I'm a bit like you two, where I'm in awe of how they've done it. What have they done? Where have they gone with that? Oh my gosh. And I know whenever anything is done well for me and someone congratulates me, it's the best feeling. So I want to make sure that I can give that gift to other people, because you don't know their path, or you don't know what it's taken for them to get there. And, I met someone a couple of weeks ago who said to me, I said to her, oh, you've just done so well. It's amazing to watch you. I really enjoyed hearing you speak. And she turned around, she shared something with me that she said nobody knows publicly. And she said people just have no idea what it's taken for me to get here and to drive this BMW and to live in the house that we live in. She said there was 10 years where we were on the bones of our butt and, you know, we got completely railroaded but we just chose to pick ourselves up. And in a way that made me admire her even more, and made me want to know more about her story, because it's not so much the success that we're all driven by, I don't think, but it's the path in which people have taken to get there that intrigues me the most or inspires me the most, because it looks easy on the outside sometimes to look in, but I don't know about you two, but whenever I arrive at an event, or even like Karen, your effortless self, I'm sure everyone would have arrived, they would have sat down, and it would have felt effortless, the whole thing. But they would not have seen the fact that you booked that date in January this year, the fact that you created all the content, the fact that you researched, the fact that you looked into everything possible in order to make sure that those people had a dynamic experience. And Cindy, your retreat next year, the Changing Habits retreat, and I know my graduation, it looks effortless. It seems like that, but the amount of work that goes into the background, or the amount of, not even work, intention or amazing commitment that goes into something to have it shine, that's the nugget that I look for. That's the part that I want to know more about. And that's where I find I think we're all the same. We love seeing other people do really, really well. It's such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I think, if I'm to be really honest, I don't do this anymore, but it definitely was something. I did the Landmark Forum back in 1998.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the things that we had to do was to have a really good look at ourselves and find out what it is that we do to others, because part of the program was about being responsible for the impact that you have on the world. And one of the things that I realized I did was compete. And I never thought that I was a competitive person, because in sport and physically, I was never competitive. I didn't care enough about it. But I think I remember when I was a kid at school, if somebody was better at maths than me, it used to not make me resent the other person, but it used to make me hate myself. So as much as I would look at the other person and go, oh, far out, they've gotten a better grade than me, then I would go in to beat myself up that I'm not good enough, I'll never get there, it's never going to work for me, what a loser I am. So the feeling I would get inside would be like self-depreciating, like defeating. And when I did that forum, it was very much, as I got older, that just got exaggerated, that I would look at others and I would compete with them. I'd walk into a room and I would think, okay, so who's smarter than me? Who's taller than me? Who's prettier than me? Who's got more than me? And then as much as that would give me something to aim for, so it was kind of like there was this contrast in there. There was the contrast of give me something to aim for, because I would think, well, if they can do it, then there's every chance that I'm going to be able to get there. Even Anthony Robbins and Oprah Winfrey, I'd look at them and I'd go, well, if she can do it, I can do it. That's the benchmark. No props. I can get there. So on the one hand, it was very inspiring, but on the other hand, it was also that sensation inside of myself of if I was supposed to get there, I would have. I'm such a peanut. It's never going to happen for me, blah, blah, blah. So I think that there's all kinds of different experiences of other people's advancements or expansion out there that and the way that we relate to it. And I think that comes from our childhood. It comes from the way that we have been brought up, or the way that we established our beliefs and meanings when we were kids. Where you're competing. I remember when I was a kid, there were 3 of us, and I used to have to compete for the food, not because we didn't have enough, but because my brother would just eat all the lollies and he would just eat all the chocolates and the chips, and I wanted them. So I used to have to compete for food. And if I wasn't fast enough, strong enough, or tall enough, then I never got any of the good stuff that I thought was good stuff. I never got any of it. My brother got all of it. So I used to try and ambush my mum when she got the groceries out of the car. I knew if I got her at the car, I'd be able to get some food out of the shopping packets and then go and hide it in my room. And it came from something as small as that, which then set up the competition mechanism, where that meaning then came to me about competing for other people. So I think, or with other people. So I think everybody's got their own appreciation of what this particular point is for them in their own lives. And it just takes acknowledgement, and it takes awareness of what you're actually doing and then what that does to you. Because as much as you feel like it's resentment to the other person, that resentment actually lives between your two ears. The other person has no idea what you're doing or going through. So in actual fact, it's not about the other person. It's all about you. You're the one who's living with that emotional roller coaster inside of yourself. So, and an action step on that is to, first of all, become aware that you're the one who's doing it to yourself. Second of all, change the meaning, because in any given moment we can change the meaning. So I would suggest change the meaning from I'm not good enough or, I hate you to you are giving me something to aspire to. And what you said, Kimmy, give me your recipe. What's your recipe? Because if that's what you want, then that person has already walked the path ahead of you. So instead of looking at them with resentment or competition, look at them as a teacher. Look at them as somebody who can guide you, even if you don't like them. Still follow in their footsteps. And I think that's ultimately what I landed up doing with Tony Robbins. I built my business model based on his, because I knew he had what I wanted in some way. So I thought, well, rather than reinventing the wheel, let me go with what he's done. And I have to say, by doing that, just from a business point of view, by doing that, it's one of the main reasons why my business is still alive after 10 years. And in my line of work, there are very few people who do my line of work who sustain themselves beyond 3 years. Very few. So I learned from the best and built a business around that, and then put my own flavor on it. And of course, I am where I am. But I think that's another option.
I think they're great action steps, Karen. I believe that rather than through envy or resentment, is that you learn from that person, and that's what I love about autobiographies and biographies, and going to conferences and emulating people, and what did they do and how did they do that, and sometimes it's nice to have somebody else make all the and I don't want to say mistakes because that means we're unpredicted pregnancy. Whatever that was, new life. I actually think it's good to see what other people are doing. Watch them on their journey, and see what they're doing. But everybody's journey is different. I look at 20-year-olds who are doing things that I'm doing in my 50s. And I often think back, why wasn't I doing that in my 20s? Well, that wasn't the state of the world back when I was in my 20s. We were able to have a childhood, like a 20-year-old hood, if you could say. So eras, world, the state of everything is always different. So you can never, number one, compare. But number two, emulate these people, learn from these people, ask them questions, take them out for lunch if they're someone in your community. I remember when Annette Sim, who started that cookbook series she was back in the, I think it was 98 I did mine. She must have done hers in 96. And I thought, wow, she's doing what I want to do, So I asked her if she'd go out for lunch. I didn't know who she was. And, in those days, I don't think people did things like that. And we went out and had a cuppa, and I just asked her, how did you do it? What did you do? And then I just emulated her. I just emulated what she did. Not as far as how we think. Our thinking was very different, but she had written a book. So your action steps are brilliant. Kimmy, do you have any action steps for that one that you can think of?
Oh, I think just what I said at the beginning. I'm really curious about how they did it. And I also love celebrating people. I really love congratulating someone and seeing their response. So to me, my action step is when you see someone doing better than you or anything, hug them up, eat them up, just tell them how amazing they are. Because when it happens to you one day and someone says the same to you, you're going to really appreciate those words. And, look, at the end of the day, we're all doing remarkably. And I know Karen said this to me years ago when I was feeling very sorry for myself when we lost all our money in that institution that went bust. And she just turned around, she said, Kim, if it was, I don't know if you remember, Karen, but you were standing here in my lounge one day and you just said, if it was meant to be different, darling, it would be. And it was like, oh, shit. you're right. Like if it was meant to be any other way, it would be. So suck it up, princess. And what are you going to do now to move on? No, you didn't say that. No, you didn't say that. I said that to myself. But you did say, Kim, if it was meant to be any other way, it would be. And that was a really big aha for me that day. It was like, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's happened. There's nothing else you can do. Now what are you going to do to learn from it? And I tell you what, as I've said to you both, and I think I've said on the podcast before, that when the day comes where I actually do get to buy my own home again and actually put that deal and you girls come round and we have a champagne standing there or a kombucha, either or, I'm going to be so freaking excited and proud because, you know what it's taking to get there. And I just appreciate the journey. That's all.
Sounds good. All right, let's go to the next one with another word that we probably need to have an etymology on, but 10. They don't give up after the first failure. They don't view failure as a reason to give up. Instead, they use failure as an opportunity to grow and improve. They are willing to keep trying until they get it right. So I want to give you the etymology of failure because I was just a little bit ahead of you guys.
Nice.
So it was a theatre slang, and it was a failure in performance, a dismal flop. That's what it was. Or can suffer a complete breakdown in performance. Literally, make a bottle. That's what it actually means. Make a bottle. Yeah, it's weird. I tell you, it is.
Well, the meanings that we then put onto things as time evolves it's almost like what's that show? Whispers, Chinese Whispers. It's almost like the further on it becomes a completely different word altogether, doesn't it?
Yeah, it actually does. I find it. A failure in performance. So it had to do with maybe it's. I think it Anyway, I think failures aren't failures. They're just learning experiences, like my father always used to say to me. It's a learning experience. You just learned something. And I guess if everybody says that these days, but it is. It's all right. I've learned how not to do it. Who was it that did the light bulb? He said, now I know 999 ways that a light bulb won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think as we go through, we go, well, what's working and what's not. But I think it's also very important it's not just about giving up, but it's about monitoring how things are going. I always remember our beautiful coach, Kim, who always tells me to test and measure. Is it working? How is it working? First of all, he would do a return on investment. All right, I want you to figure out if you do this, what will be your return on your investment, on your time, on how much money you put into it? So I'm going into business here. And then from there, you could make an assessment as to whether you would continue to do what you wanted to do in say, business. Whereas then when you go into that, then you test and measure. Did that work? Did it give you the result that you were expecting because you did your ROI? So I think it's about learning experiences, doing it the right way, or testing and measuring all the time in order to move on to the next one. But I do know people who try one thing for a day and if it doesn't work, they say, it's just not working. And it might be a change in diet. It might be giving up alcohol, giving up smoking. And they just say, I failed because I ate the wrong food on the second day, or I did a cigarette. They don't give themselves the success of the first 24 hours. They just focus on the failure of that second that they ate the wrong food, or they smoked that cigarette, or they drank that alcohol. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think we need to, I reckon we should rewrite this book because it's in the negative, and it's like they don't give up after the first failure. They celebrate their wins, because that's what it is. You celebrate your win, not your failure. So you celebrate that you've gone 2 weeks with eating the right foods and not eating a wrong food, or 2 weeks without smoking, and then you collapse for 1 second. It's just a second, and then we pick ourselves up, pat ourselves on the back. We've done a great job. Then we move on to that next day and just say, I'll just start again. That's fine. But a lot of people, what they do, and I'm going into the food here because that's what I always go back to. I default back to food. If somebody's done a great job for 2 weeks and then, they do a little bit of a mistake in what they eat, they then dwell on, oh, I'm miserable, I can't do this is too hard. And then they keep eating and eating and eating and eating and eating what they shouldn't be eating. Yeah, that's my take on that. I do think it's a rewrite of this whole book now.
I'm loving the fact that you do. But, I think the next one, though, number 11, they don't fit alone time. I must admit for a while there, when I was younger, I used to think being alone meant I was Nigel no friends and that I wasn't good enough or whatever. So, whereas now it's like, oh my God, a weekend without kids, without anybody, without anyone ringing me. I don't have to speak. Oh my God. It's like, oh my gosh, let me loose. So I do agree with that strong people do enjoy alone time, or perhaps that alone time is meditation. Perhaps that alone time is a walk on the beach. That alone time is planting in their garden. Even cleaning the house can feel like nice alone time. So I personally think that alone time is something that I've grown as I've gotten older, has become something that I really cherish, and I certainly do not fear it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. On changing habits, no, don't worry. I thought we had written a proverb that had something to do with being alone, but it doesn't. Don't worry about it. I was just looking it up. I love being alone. I really do. I think it's beautiful to go for a walk or a swim, or just be at home alone. It's very rarely am I home alone. And so I savor that time, and I love going up to the farm and being up there. Sometimes though, they talk about the fear of silence, and sometimes silence I'll need music on, or a podcast on. So I don't know if I'm feared of silence or I just don't like my mind to go idle. Anyone want to take a guess at what's happening there? Because alone time is not necessarily quiet time, is it?
No, and it's kind of, I think that's, and I'm just sitting here thinking about all of this. Alone time is time where you spend with you. Whereas most people will have alone time and then be on their phone or be on the computer, or even be reading a book, or, be having their mind run rampant with thoughts and fears and anticipations and anxieties and regrets and, past and presents and futures and stuff. And that's just that's very busy time. So even though the person's on their own, they're still not alone. So I think that's a big distinction, isn't it? Like, to be able to know that when I'm alone and I'm with me. Yes. And Julia Cameron, she wrote a fabulous book. Where's the name of it? It's escaped me. Kimmy, you know it?
Yeah, I do. What's it
called?
Hang on, you keep talking and I'll look it up for you.
Okay. Bummer. I talk about it all the time. And she talks about taking yourself on a date every week for 2 hours, and nobody else is allowed to come, but you have to do something or just be with yourself. And she says one of the really great things that you can do is to think about the things that you loved doing when you were a kid, and go take yourself on a 2-hour date and the artist's way. For goodness sake, I can't believe I forgot that. Thank you, beautiful. And she says take yourself on a date 2 hours every week, and it's where you do stuff with yourself and by yourself. So I take myself roller skating, or I take myself on a bike ride, or I take myself, interestingly enough, to the toy shop. Because when I was a kid, I used to just... Hilarious. I
know. Do you play with Barbie?
Roller skating?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you're brilliant.
Well, the other thing I do when I'm by myself, really by myself, and nobody else is around anywhere, I roll down hills. Is that... Oh, no. But I've just recently discovered body surfing. And that whole body surfing makes me feel like a kid in a candy store, and I can do it for hours and I'm absolutely wrecked by the end of it. But I think it is the most fun thing in the world. So if I get a chance to head out to the beach across the road here or go up to Noosa or even in Mooloolaba and go body surfing, I can do it for 5 hours, no problem at all.
Oh my gosh, Karen, you're funny. That is, but that's really cool. See, mine would be find a beautiful little coffee shop, the beautiful long black, and do the crossword by myself.
Ah, yeah. Well, we did crosswords on the plane, remember? You showed me how to do those crosswords when we were flying to Peru.
Crosswords, it's just crosswords and Sudoku. They would be I like that. And I must admit, swimming, and I love walking. But I'm going to have to try the rolling down the hill, roller skating, and going to the toy shop, even though I went to toy shops forever as an adult with my children. So that might
Yeah, no, that may not necessarily flick your switch.
Okay.
She talks about just, to give yourself ideas of things to do. Think back to your childhood and what you love doing.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're running out of time again, but you know what? Let's move these last two ones and let's get this done, will we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So they don't feel the world owes them anything. They don't feel entitled to things in life. They weren't born with mentality that others would take care of them or that the world must give them something. Instead, they look for opportunities based on their own merits. You know what? I think that speaks for itself. There are a lot of people on the planet that believe that the world owes them something. And I don't get that mentality at all, because it's about us making something for the world. It's about we owe the world, we owe the planet, we owe Mother Earth. We should nurture her, we should look after her, we should take responsibility. And that might be going in a completely different direction to what the author is saying, but that's how I've always believed it. And I always believe that we need to make our own fun. Like, do what Karen does. Roll down the grass, go to a toy shop and body surf for 5 hours. That's making your own fun. and the world does not owe you anything because you are having so much fun doing it.
I was up in the Himalayan mountains, and we had been hiking up through the hills, and I was walking along next to this beautiful Indian man, and I said to him, does it sadden you to see so much poverty in your country and to see so many people struggling and all of that? And then I said, because it astounds me that even some of the poorest people have, I don't know if positive is the right word to use, I said, but it's like there's an acceptance. And he said, oh, yes, we have a very strong belief that, if you do the right thing and you do the best that you can with what you've been given in this life, then the next time when you come back, there could be an even greater and bigger, better riches for you for when you come back. And I just thought that was an interesting way of not acting like the world owes you. This is what it is, and give it the best that you've got. And I guess it comes back to those 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Always ask questions and always give your best. And I just think, ultimately, no, nobody owes us a thing. If anything, I remember sitting on the top of a hill meditating with my beautiful mother-in-law, Sandy, one day, and we'd finished, and it was up in North Head in Auckland, looking out at Rangitoto as the sun was rising. And as the sun was hitting us and we came out of the meditation, I just looked at Sandy and I said, oh my gosh, look at that view. Look at it. Look at the sun. And she said, yes, my darling, take it in, drink it in, and then make sure you always offer it back. And I just think it's a beautiful metaphor for everything that occurs in life. Just always remember to share the joy in that as well. Give it back as much as you can learn from it or take from it.
How beautiful.
And when I was reading these 13 things mentally strong people don't do, we got to 13 and Kimmy goes, well, I've lost it.
Oh.
And they don't expect immediate results.
I did. When she read them to me, I went, yeah, well, I just failed because I like results now. I want it now. I want it now.
So it says whether they are working on improving their health or getting a new business off the ground, mentally strong people don't expect immediate results, except for Kim Morrison. Instead, it does say that, Kim. Instead, they apply their skills and time to do to the best of their ability and understand the real change takes time. And while I'm reading that, I'm thinking, well, why can't we expect immediate results? Maybe we should rewrite number 13 for you, Kim.
Oh, well, I
I'm
agree.
serious.
I mean, I get a result in every moment, whether you choose to go to the gym or not go to the gym. There's a result. There's always a result. Yeah. So I don't know. I think everything is as immediate as you wish it to be.
And I think it's fair to say we were a bit deeper on each of these than maybe what Amy was intending.
And we've had a lot of fun with them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So interesting. And just reiterating number 13, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Kim, is that expect immediate results. Expect results because every little bit of change or something that you do will result in something. You know, even the slightest change will result in something. So let's change that. They expect immediate results. They know that with everything that they do, there will be a result. You know, it's like cause and effect, I guess that one is. We're going to go for cause and result.
Love it.
And I do think you're right there, Karen, that she's come from it. And why we loved the whole article so much is because it obviously spoke something to us. And she was saying and making us think things. It's only because of the way the three of us talk. And I just want people to know that when you really are a fly on the wall, this is a dinner conversation for the three of us. This is us sitting there at a cafe having a coffee after we finish the crossword. Like you are part of this. Is how we converse about different things. So this is not just a podcast, is it, girls?
No.
Not at all.
How funny. Well, I think so. We're done now. Then
we've done the 13. We could make up a few more if you'd like to, Miss Karen.
I think we possibly should, and I think we should post that on our Facebook page.
What? That we're going to make up more?
I think we should make up some more.
Okay.
I think we could.
Do you know what I would add in there? And my final thing is what strong-minded people do, and what is, this is my real big thing, is that if you're kind, if you show kindness, I think that's a really strong person. Through all adversity, through all challenges, through all matters of situation, thoughts, feelings, emotions, whatever it is, if we can show kindness in some way, I think that is a really strong person, personally.
Agreed. 100%.
Yep.
I'm sure our listeners have loved the last 2 weeks as we've gone down the rabbit hole on these points. I think they've been fabulous to explore it. And Cindy's etymology, and I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to do the same thing on every single word that has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah, I reckon too.
It'll be very interesting.
Oh, it's fascinating. Oh, good-o. Well, I think then that brings us to the end of our podcast then, people. Oh, well, there you go. Well, what are we going to talk about next week?
I want to keep going.
I know. Well, for all of our listeners, no doubt you guys have enjoyed the podcast as much as we have. It's been absolutely fabulous to dive down the rabbit hole on so many amazing points. And hopefully you guys have got as much out of it as what we have. So go to our Facebook page at allthews.facebook.com/up for a chat. Now, while you're there, what would be really, really cool would be for you guys to post your comments and questions, but also if you've got any inquiries about joining Kim, Cindy and myself on our spectacular New Zealand trekking holiday or trekking through Africa in 2018. Because right now we do still have a couple of spots available, and I know that they're not going to last. So if you'd like to find out about joining us in New Zealand through the South Island and also trekking through Africa, go to allthews.awakenthechange And you're going to find you'll have the ability to click on the link, say, to get a copy of the itinerary for both of those trips, as well as the pricing and the payment plans, and you can even get yourself signed up right there and then. So go ahead and have a look at that, where we go through some of the most spectacular sites of New Zealand, and Kimmy has organised this one, and amazingly enough, it is filled with wineries. Let me just say that. But then there's also some amazing hiking through the mountains and through the spectacular scenery. So it does require that you are a little bit fit, and you can do up to about 25 Ks in one of the days that we're trekking. So make sure that you check it out and come and hang out with us as we get raw and real walking through the mountains of New Zealand. And then in 2018, we're going to be trekking through Africa with Cindy as our guide. And I can't wait to talk to you more about all of the spectacular experiences that we're going to be having there. Cindy's arranged the most divine trip where we do have princess-style accommodation. Let me just say that. So we are going to be roughing it through the day, but we're going to be in the absolute gloriousness through the night. So go to the website, allthews.awakenthechangewithin.com, and join us on either one of our trips or both of them. So we're going to see you here, same time, same station next week. Join us on Up for a Chat when you get to become part of the ripple effect that's changing the world. And we're going to see you on the ride. Bye for now, everybody.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/The Wellness Couch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.